Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Dr. Orszag. I guess if anybody wants to understand what the problem in Washington, D.C. is, all they need to do is listen to the debate that's gone on here the first little while, pointing fingers and trying to decide who's to blame for what. The reality is the American people don't care who's to blame. What they want is the problem solved. And I don't think it does any good to point at Bush or to point at this administration and say this is that and whatever. And I'm glad for the health care debate. I wish we would have had this health care debate on the floor, actually. Would have been a good debate. Unfortunately, we were denied any debate on the health care bill on the floor or any alternatives. So we need to get back to try and solving the problems in this country. And while I think this budget is a problem in terms of long-term fiscal responsibility of this country, what the American people are saying is that what you need to do up there is quit spending money. It's really that simple. Quit spending money. They're saying return the unspent funds from the stimulus package to the Treasury and pay down the debt. They're saying quit taking the money that came back in TARP and using it to fund new programs. Do what it was originally intended to do, and that is pay back the Treasury for the money that was spent on TARP. And it doesn't seem like the administration seems to have gotten this message. And I know that you're in a difficult position. This is a tough time for all of us. There are parts of this budget that I agree with, parts of it that I disagree with, obviously. We've heard a lot about statutory pay-go. Statutory pay-go only means anything if you follow it. After the great rhetoric that was put out about we're going to have statutory pay-go, and we've enacted statutory pay-go. The first year we enacted it, you exempted $412 billion of spending from pay-go rules. So if you put in statutory pay-go, you better be willing to live with it and quit exempting it if it's going to have any impact in the long run. And so far, nobody's been willing to do that. All we do is go out and say the rhetoric about statutory pay-go. Do you know, as in terms of question now, do you know how much money we're spending budget-wide in addressing global warming and greenhouse gas emissions and those types of things? Because one of my concerns has been, I'm the ranking member on the Interior Subcommittee, almost every agency in there has money for global warming studies. Yeah. And I know in a lot of the other agencies they have the same thing. How much are we spending and how coordinated is all of this spending? And I'm not trying to be a global warming denier or anything like that. I just don't see the coordination within the administration. It's like if we spend a lot of money, then we'll say we're doing good.
We can get you the exact figures, but very roughly speaking, there's about $2.5 billion in the domestic agencies, places like NOAA doing climate research and so on and so forth, and then about $1.5 billion in international affairs, in the international affairs budget too. So that would be about $4 billion, but we'll get you the exact figures.
But there are, I mean, it's like the National Park Service has $10 million to spend on global warming. EPA spends a ton of money on global warming. We need to look at across all of the agencies, what we're doing, and what the coordination is within the agencies if we're going to be spending all this money on studying global warming. I compliment the administration, frankly. For the first time, an administration has matched some of the rhetoric in support of in support of nuclear power with the funds in their budget. They've put together a pretty good budget in terms of nuclear energy and the research in nuclear energy. I do have some concerns with some of the policy, obviously. The Yucca Mountain decision, that we are going to completely defund that we are going to withdraw our application for Yucca Mountain. What have we put in this budget to settle the lawsuits that are inevitably going to come, and that we are going to lose when we withdraw our application for Yucca Mountain? How much money is in there for that, and how did we come with that amount? And what do we assume the final amount's going to be?
Well, let me first answer that. As you know, the President has appointed a Blue Ribbon Commission to study longer-range waste management and other options for, as we expand this form of energy, what to do with the waste. So that's I think, crucially important. I'll get back to you with the exact figures on, as you know, there are a set of payments that are already involved in the local storage that, as you know, the waste tends to be stored in secure facilities, but around the reactors themselves. And I'll get back to you with the details on payment flows involved in that.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And Mr. Chairman, let's focus on the problems and see what we can solve going forward.